Welcome to another workout. Today's workout is going to be with Tess Waresmith. She is a former diver at a high level. She won 3 state titles. She went to the NCAA Division I National Championships, and she got into weightlifting. She is physically fit, and we are happy to have her here. Okay, Tess, welcome, and thank you for providing us with all of this.
Oh, I'm losing you a bit.
Yep, you're on.
Okay. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
You're on.
Oh, it's breaking up a bit.
Okay, well.
Can't hear you very well. 1 second. Let me just double check my internet.
Working
All right.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you here, and we are eager to see what you have for us today. Now, you are a former diver as well as a weightlifter.
Correct. Both sports.
Tell us a little bit about your diving.
I started diving when I was 8, and I dove throughout middle school, high school, and then I competed in college all 4 years. I lived mostly in the Boston area. I went to University of Miami for a few years, but finished out college at BU. I went to the NCAA championships, and I have school and pool records at BU as well. Oh. And then since then, sorry, go ahead.
Nothing. We have a sound delay today.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
Okay, well, why don't you start, and we'll go from there.
All right, cool. So let's get started. So we're going to start with a little bit of a warm-up. We're going to go into some leg strength exercises, and this is really important for making sure that you have stability. One of the best things you can do is make sure you do a lot of unilateral work because it's really good for injury prevention, and especially as when we're diving and we're jumping off one leg all the time, it's really important that you're doing exercises to strengthen both your legs. So we'll start with a warm-up, we'll get into some leg strength, and then we'll finish it off with an ab circuit. All right, so to get started, we're going to start with a few plank push-ups, 2 up dog, and then down dog. So get in a plank, make sure your shoulders are over your hands, you're really strong, rooted through your feet. Going to do a push-up into upward dog, keep your toes curled under, and then push back into downward dog. Then you can stretch your calves a little bit. And we're going to do it again. Roll up over onto your hands, low push-up into upward dog, and then back down to downward dog. And as you're doing this, you can pause here. This is obviously a good stretch to work on your toe point. And then you can put your feet back down. We're going to do 3 more. Make sure your core is really tight. And you're really pushing back through your shoulders. This is good for shoulder mobility too and strength as well. A little bit of everything here. And last one. One more time over the shoulders. All right. Now we're going to move into a little bit of a stretch to stretch out your hips. So you should definitely do this before you dive as well. But we're going to do a deep lunge, twist to the inside, bring that arm inside your left foot, and then bring it back, and then switch legs. So deep lunge stretch, turn towards your bent knee, elbow down, and then put the leg back into a plank. We're going to do the other leg, turn, elbow down, back to plank. Right leg. And we're going to do this 3 more times on both sides. Really make sure you're pausing, you have a tight core in your plank, and that you're really pushing down through your hip to make sure you get a good stretch. Oftentimes when we don't stretch through our hips, when you can really start to get injuries if your muscles aren't firing properly or you don't have enough mobility. And last one. Okay, and our last warm-up is just going to be a pike stretch into an inverted pike. So reach past your toes, and then make sure you get a nice pike stretch on the way back. Try to use your core to lift your legs back. We're gonna do 10, sorry. 10 total. 4, 5, make sure you really get into a deep pike. 6, 7, 3 more. Keep your toes pointed. Your legs should be glued, locked together whenever you're doing any exercises like this. Last one. All right, we're gonna do that whole round one more time. So back to your plank. Low push up into upward dog, back down to downward dog. Keep those toes pointed on the way up. We're gonna do 4 more. Make sure you're pushing through the floor. That's 3. 2 more times. And anytime you're doing anything like this, always core tight. Always a good opportunity to work your core in a lot of these movements, which is obviously super important for your diving. All right, back to the lunge and twist. We're gonna do 5 on each side. 3, make sure you're breathing. 4, 5 more. 6, 7, and start to move a little bit quicker now that you're warmed up. 8, 9, last 2. All right, and then right into our pike and roll back. Tight pike in both positions. Make sure you feel your feet super tight together. 4, 5 more times. 5, 6. It's a good opportunity to practice a deep pike position. 8, 9, and 10. Last one. All right, good work. You should be pretty warmed up now, pretty stretched out. So what we're going to work on today for strength is we're going to do 2 things. We're going to do a split squat, and we're going to do a rush or a single leg deadlift. Both of these are really important for strength in your legs, obviously to help you jump off the diving board, but also to make sure you stay balanced. As always, if you're doing any repetition, especially like a hurdle over and over, it's really important to make sure that you're strengthening both legs so that when you're jumping, you're not jumping off one more than the other, and also that your legs are even as much as possible so that you don't get injuries. That's really important. So these are both really easy to do at home. All you need is a chair. If you don't have a chair, I'll show you both ways to do it. But even without weights, you can get a really good workout in. So what you're going to do is step maybe like 1.5 feet from the chair. Put your other foot back against it. And then you're going to do a tempo split squat. So it's 3 seconds down, tight core, chest tall. 1, 2, 3. Pause. And then drive up through that leg strong. So 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Drive through the leg. Keep going. We're going to do 8. You want to make sure that you aren't tracking your knee too far over your toes. You don't want to be leaning over too far. That's bad for your knees. So make sure you're dropping this back knee straight down to the ground and push. Keep going. Do 3 more. Push. Make sure your foot is really strong on the ground. Your core is tight, chest is tall. And we're going to switch sides. So same thing on the other side. Again, it's really valuable to do exercises unilaterally on one side and the other. That way you can make sure you're isolating that side and getting strong in both legs. Super important for injury prevention. I've had a couple surgeries on my right leg, and I think if I had spent more time focusing on these types of exercises, could have potentially prevented some injuries. 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so that's the first exercise. The second one is going to be a deadlift. Same thing with the tempo, and also on one leg. So I'll do it facing the camera and then from the side. So you can stand on your left foot, make sure your foot is rooted through the ground. You can bring your leg up like you're doing a hurdle, and then you're going to lean forward on a 3 count and touch the ground. So 1, 2, 3. Touch the ground with your opposite hand. Don't put weight on it, just touch it, and then come back. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do that 8 times. Make sure you keep your toe pointed. 3. Squeeze your glute on the way back. Also really important that your hips are square. You don't want to be turning your hips out this way. That doesn't work the hamstring. Make sure you stay square after doing these. Four more. Joe, how's it going?
It's going great. I appreciate you bringing in all the diving and how that relates.
Great. All right. Now you'll be surprised if you do those slow enough. If you start to do them and they become less challenging, you can always just go slower. We're going to switch sides. Leg back, strong glute, bring the knee up in front. And again, we talk about a lot about jumping, how important it is to make sure you have strong legs. Sometimes this stuff doesn't feel like hard work because it's not heavy weights, but it's so valuable for balance and mobility and injury prevention. And these kinds of things do get hard after a while if you do a lot of them. Definitely can be challenging work. I'm definitely breathing a little bit heavier than I thought I would with this one. 7 and 8. All right, so we're going to do that whole thing again. For the sake of time, we'll just do 2 rounds, but normally I would suggest doing 3. So we're going to go back to the split squat again. Make sure your hips aren't open. You want to keep your hips square. Drag down and push. We're going to do 8 on each side. 1, 2, 3, push. Make sure you're really feeling your glutes too on the way up. You should be squeezing. And try to make sure the weight is mostly in your front foot. You don't have too much weight on the chair in the back. Again, if you don't have a chair, you can still do these just with your leg behind you. Make sure you just keep most of the weight in the front leg and you're pushing up. And still do a single leg squat that way. So we're going to do 8 total. Should have 5 more. Core tight, but make sure you're breathing. And if we want to make this harder, next time you do it, just hang out in the pause a little longer. It'll get tough pretty quick. All right, and last round of deadlifts. Again, knee up, good vertical position, pointed toe, bring the leg back, touch the ground, and then back up. You can also do this with the target if you want to make it a little more interesting. You can pick something up off the ground. You just want to make sure you're not putting your weight on the ground all the way in this exercise. It should be rooted through the foot on the floor. Lost count, but I think we're at 5. Maybe 3 more. All right, and switch. Other leg, in turtle position, and reach down. Now you might notice one leg is easier than the other. I actually had surgery in this leg twice. Once for diving, once for weightlifting, just to keep it even. So I can really feel that it's a lot harder. Which again, why it's really valuable to make sure you're doing this unilateral stuff. And this goes for shoulders too. If you're doing shoulder strength, you really should be isolating one and the other when you can, especially when you're reaching overhead. Whatever hand is grabbing underneath, that shoulder is probably getting a lot more power through the water. So good to do exercises on one side and then the other. Okay, that's our leg strength. Now we're going to move into our ab circuit. You don't need any props for this, just yourself and the floor, no excuses. All right, so to start, we're going to do 25 tuck kickouts. Make sure your feet are glued together, hands in front. Strong kick out, arms in front. Make sure you're breathing.
Now, Tess, I couldn't help but notice you're practicing a nice, good tuck there. You're grabbing the lower shins. You got the toe point going. I really want to work out with you, but I'm at the gym, but it's really crowded, so I can't work out. I'll find another spot in the gym to work out. Okay?
Okay, you do that.
Okay, keep going.
It looks. All right. So we're gonna do hip lifts. Legs up, straight, feet glued together, and just lifting the hips. You shouldn't be rolling onto your back. We're just lifting. This is lower abs. This is great for protecting your back, especially if you're a platform diver. Super important to stay safe, have a strong core. Doesn't look like a big movement. It doesn't have to be big. You don't need to be rocking up. This is not a move where you have to do a lot. It should just be from the hips, and you'll feel it. All right, and moving on to side crunches. Again, theme of today is making sure your feet are together, toes pointed, 25. Also practice your twist position, or if you're just trying to survive, just make sure your toes are pointed and feet together. 15. 5 more. All right, and switch sides. Same thing on the other side. Again, you don't have to lift super high for this to be effective. Just make sure you're engaging your core every time you sit up. This doesn't do more necessarily. If you're engaged here, that's what matters. 10 more. All right, and then the last piece of this, 10 pike ups. Make sure your hands touch the ground every time and you're reaching all the way past your toes. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice job. We're gonna rest 30 seconds, then we're doing that whole thing one more time.
Well, while you're resting, I'm going to look around the gym, see if I can find some open equipment. I'll keep looking.
Well, Joe, you don't need equipment to do exercises, clearly, as you can see by this at-home workout.
Oh, I guess that's the purpose.
All right, and back at it, 25 tuck kicks. Strong legs on the kick, make sure you're squeezing. Keep breathing. We got 10 more. Grabbing your shins, pointing your toes. 3. All right, back to those hip lifts. So legs straight, just little lifts with the hips. Doesn't have to be high. You should feel this in your lower core. Try to keep your legs straight. It is very hard to do. Used to be able to do that easily. Let's go for 10 more. All right, and back to our side crunches. 25, you got it, keep going. 10. 20. Make sure your legs are stretched out. You don't want to be too piked here. 25. And switch sides. Feet together, toes pointed. Breathing. For 10. 5. And 1. Nice job. And last, we're going to do 10 pike ups as fast as you can go. 10. 5. And 1.
Wow.
Next up. So if you're really advanced or you're young, you'll do that again. But that's where I'm going to end it for today. Most times I would recommend doing those exercises, doing at least 3 sets of each, and then you can start to add in tempo. If you have any kind of weights at your house, even if it's just a couple gallons or a couple water bottles, that can easily make those split squats and deadlifts much harder pretty easily. And then abs, so important. Always make sure you finish with those. Obviously super important for all things, but particularly injury prevention stuff is very important for that. So that's it.
Well, hold on a few minutes. I just want to put some titles up. Now, for those of you who are wondering why she only won 3 times at the state championship, is because she graduated a year early from high school. Only took her 3 years. Some people, it takes 5 or 6 years. They're called swimmers. So, all you swim coaches, I'm only kind of joking. Okay? So, Tess, do you recall your first nationals?
I was 11.
Yeah.
And it was no. Is that wrong?
It could be. You never know. But I just remember you were young, and you probably hung out with a guy that had pleated khakis. Pretty embarrassing.
It's just a one-time thing. I learned from my mistakes. I don't take khakis anymore.
Okay. Well, I was referring to your coach. Kind of a dorky guy. So anyway, what else did you do after your diving?
So after I graduated from Boston University, it was 2009 with a not great economy, similar to now. And I ended up actually working on a cruise ship and diving in an aerial acrobatics show for 2 years. And it was awesome. So I never really thought I'd have a job diving other than getting a scholarship, which was amazing. But yes, I actually got paid to dive on a cruise ship into a kind of shallow pool off 3 meter and 10 meter.
Okay,
a lot of fun.
Hold on a minute. We did get a question. Somebody wants to know whether you performed on cruise ships and what it was like. But give me a second here, and I'll call you back in. Whoop. So you can't see what's going on, but I actually have some video of the cruise ship diving.
No.
Pretty spectacular. Pretty big audience. So what was it like? I mean, you certainly don't want to be on a cruise ship right now.
No, it was great. I thought at first I'd be claustrophobic, but the show was fun. The diving was way easier than the dives I competed mostly. So it was not stressful in a competitive sense. And I met amazing people. I worked with performers, dancers, skaters, aerialists from all over the world. And I have some really amazing friends. So it was an awesome experience. I got to travel a lot, spent a lot of time in the Caribbean, Alaska, and a bit of time in Europe as well, and it was great. If you're looking to figure out what you need to do after college, I would say explore and try different things, because now I have a great job, and I don't know if I would have been there if I hadn't taken a windy road. So definitely worth taking some jobs that might be a little bit out of your comfort zone.
Well, diving in shows is kind of like diving in large meets. I mean, divers in a way are performers, you know? There's an audience,
Yeah.
They step up. I mean, it's tough putting on a suit and performing in front of people, especially under pressure. Did you find them similar or not?
Yeah, although I'll even say that I think diving helped prepare me, not just for diving on cruise ships, but in general, just being in front of people and public speaking, giving presentations at work. There's a lot of benefits to that fear and that being the only person and having to perform diving. I think that it's much easier to public speak, and a lot of people are very afraid of that. So I think that confidence that comes from getting over fear and doing things that you're afraid to do, and diving is definitely scary. Even if you've done it many times, it's scary to do a diving competition in front of a lot of people. And I think the skills that I learned from diving have served me well beyond just diving or diving on a cruise ship. I think professionally it's been a massive advantage to have had that time in front of people and having to perform.
Now, my understanding, because I worked with you for so many years, your mom was also a diver.
Yes.
And
yes.
She dove in California with Lyle Draves?
Yeah, she dove in California, and she was an alternate to the 1968 Olympics.
Wow. And her coach was Lyle Draves, who was married to Vicky Draves, who I believe won a couple of gold medals. So, a lot of diving is in the genes. And,
That's true.
some of it is coaching, and I can tell you from firsthand experience dealing with you, it's a lot easier to coach talent than just to coach. So I've always appreciated it. Okay. We have another question in here by Jen Roberts, also another former diver. How did your diving experience help you transition into weightlifting?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, I think she did the same thing.
Yes, she did. And Jen Roberts is actually a national champion weightlifter and was a great diver as well. And she will also tell you that transferring to another sport after diving, especially one like weightlifting, was pretty easy. Diving is scary. You're jumping off a board into water. There's a lot more aerial acrobatic movements and spatial awareness required. Weightlifting has the same performance aspect where you have to perform a lift in front of people, but doing it on the ground is a lot easier than in the air. So I think not just the being comfortable in competition, that's probably the biggest thing, but then also being able to have the mobility and the strength to move quickly with weight. A lot of that came from diving, and being able to hold a bar over your head and have the mobility to do that safely, that's from diving as well. So if you are transitioning sports or you're concerned about picking a sport right away, I did diving for a long time and then started weightlifting well into my 20s, and I'm glad I was able to do that. It was a great opportunity to try another sport, but diving really does prepare you for all kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, in lifting weights, which I'm about to do as soon as the gym clears out, I'm not an expert on this, but it seems like you lift until you fail. Is that correct? Something like pole vaulting? I mean, do you max out and then stop, or do you keep going?
Not quite. In the competitions that Jen and I did, you actually there's 2 Olympic lifts. They're called the snatch and the clean and jerk, and you get 3 chances to do each of them. It's similar to diving in that way. You don't get an endless amount of repetitions, so you only get 3 chances, and you can choose the weight you want to do. So it's sort of a balance between choosing the highest weight you can complete, but you don't want to miss the weight either. So you have to figure out where your max is on any given day when you're competing, which is definitely a little bit of strategy involved.
Wow. What was your favorite dive?
My favorite dive? Probably anything inward, but I also really liked back twisters. Back to nap twister, probably my best and most consistent dive. Later, not when I started doing it.
Well, Scott Doney gives you a great big wave, and thank you for watching, Scott. We'll have you on here soon. We like famous people. Okay. Any other good diving? Another friend of yours, Derek Starks. Can you hear me?
I can, but I don't know if I want to know what he asked.
he just put a big wave up.
Okay, hi Derek.
Just a giant hand. I assume it's a wave. It had all 5 fingers showing very clearly. Okay. I want to thank you very much. And for you coaches out there, I just want to let you know that you are able to find this on the YouTube channel, AAU Diving or the Diving Network, and you can have your kids do this maybe once a month or something along those lines. It's great for tucking and piking, and Tess is in quite good shape. I wish she had been in shape like that when I coached her, even though she was still an outstanding diver, and a pleasure to coach. And we just want to say thank you for watching. And we hope this helps. And we have a couple more people coming up. We have some world champion high divers coming up. Next week, we also have Liam Stone, who is a New Zealand diver, to talk to divers, especially young divers, about visualization. Also on the menu is we have a couple parents and divers to talk about their viewpoint of the recruiting process. You heard from coaches, which is a side that a lot of people were interested in, but we're also going to present the diver side and the child side, the diver and the parent side, so that all the stress that you're going through, you're going to realize that other people have gone through the same amount of stress. Okay? So we just want to thank everybody for watching. I wish I had a chance to work out myself, but as you can see, the gym's pretty crowded, and with the virus, I don't want to catch it, at least not at my age. So, thank you very much, and we have a lot more coming up. Thank you.